Donald Trump has wasted no time waging war on his likely opponent, Kamala Harris. The former president has redirected his fury from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris seemingly overnight, slinging insults at the VP every chance he gets. Sky News All-Stars Liz Storer, Chris Kenny and Peter Stefanovic take a look at Trump's savage treatment of Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is on a warpath and has Kamala Harris in his sights. Ever since Joe Biden dropped out of the race and endorsed Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee, Donald Trump has savagely thrown insults her way, calling her a radical left lunatic for starters, reveals Sky News All-Star Peter Stefanovic.
We're going to take you live to Charlotte in North Carolina. Donald Trump, the nominee for the Republican Party, is speaking. His wound there still slightly patched up by a smaller Band-Aid. It's getting smaller and smaller, showing that that wound is healing. But this all comes 90 minutes before Joe Biden's to address the nation today. So let's listen into Donald Trump for a bit.
We're going to throw you out using the 25th Amendment. That's what happened. You know that. So, well, you know that. That's what happens. That's what happens. These are nasty people, the Democrats, so we better beat them or we're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have a country left. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris. Lion. L-Y-I-N apostrophe. The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history. By the way, they did a poll. She was rated the worst vice president in history. I've never seen that poll before, but that's the poll. Together we will win North Carolina in an epic landslide. We're way ahead in the poll. And we will take back that beautiful White House, and we will very simply make America great again. For 3.5 years, Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She is a radical left lunatic who will destroy our country. If she ever gets the chance to get into office, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay? They want me to be nice. Thank you.
The Republican nominee also scolded Harris with his famous one-liner.
But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
He then went on to question Kamala Harris's honesty, saying she will lie about anything and can't be trusted.
If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job. A vote for Trump Vance. How do you like? How do you like?
Donald Trump also often takes cheap shots at Kamala, this time insulting her laugh and calling her crazy.
From the moment we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden and Kamala, I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy. You know, you can tell a lot by her laugh. No, she's crazy. She's nuts. She's not as crazy as Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy.
And Trump's rampage against Kamala has been brewing for weeks, with the former president blasting her even before Joe Biden stepped out of the presidential race.
What did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, amazing.
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
It's so amazing.
It's just so fucking bad. So
I just can't imagine.
But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him, they probably he can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out, right?
And it's not only Donald Trump who is making Kamala Harris's life hell. Black Lives Matter has also turned on her and the Democrats for installing a leader undemocratically, reveals Sky News All-Star Liz Storer.
I'm, for once, agreeing with Black Lives Matter. They themselves have called out this absolute rot. Check this headline out. Black Lives Matter says Dems are party of hypocrites for installing Harris sans public voting process. They're not wrong. And let's not forget, this is a massive surprise coming from BLM, because Kamala Harris, back in 2020, when they were busy rioting, literally burning cities down, she was their biggest fan.
They're not going to stop, and this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop, and everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not, and we should not.
And they should not let up. Okay, yeah, just keep burning America to the ground. This is so called for. So it's very surprising that here we are 4 years later, and even BLM, these Marxists to the bone, people who literally were just rioting through America in the name of George Floyd and the injustice done to Black Americans throughout the ages, they themselves have called out the Democrat Party for being undemocratic.
Like you said, I can't believe we're all sitting here saying, yeah, BLM, I know. You're on the money. I mean, normally they're more proficient at, burning cities than making acute and astute political observations. But they said, quote, we do not live in a dictatorship. Now, I thought it was Donald Trump who was the dictator.
He's supposed to be the dictator.
But the BLM movement, they're saying of the Democrats, we don't live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Installing Kamala Harris as the Democrat nominee without any public voting process would make the modern-day Democrat Party a party of hypocrites.
But despite Donald Trump's bullying tactics, Kamala Harris has made it clear she is ready to fight, launching her own war of words at the former president, reveals Sky News commentator Bronwyn Bishop.
This week. Now let's get back to Bronwyn and Joe. Harris-Trump. You, Bronwyn, very crisply and I thought very cleverly yesterday when you were on with Shari, said, okay, look, I get it, all the giggles, all the rest of it. She's serious. She's real. There's a machine behind her that's real. So fight her from day one because she's serious.
Indeed she is. And she stepped out with an aggressive attack, which has been repeated everywhere and will go on being repeated. Nobody knows much about her, so they can really invent her as they wish. And all the stuff about Biden that people keep saying is he's yesterday's man.
Absolutely.
And
stop fighting Biden, he's gone.
He's gone, and this is the fight that's on. So, in my view, Trump has to attack her, but it has to be tying her into the policies, and particularly into that wall. Because everybody knows that was the job she was tasked to do, and didn't go to the wall and didn't go to Europe, I think she said.
But Liz Storer mocked Kamala's attempt to intimidate Trump, saying it's just laughable.
Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Yeah, a good line doesn't make a campaign, but she's away.
No, and she can talk. She looks like she's just going to walk in as the sole nominee. Not a single person has voted for her. The DNC hasn't yet taken place. This is what the Democrats did with Hillary Clinton. It's what they did with the current president, and they're doing it again. They call themselves the defenders of democracy. They do not practice it themselves whatsoever, and her going after Trump's character is just laughable. When you look at her own record, she was tasked with managing the border crisis. What an abject failure. As a prosecutor, she locked up over 1,500 people for smoking marijuana and then laughed about the fact that she herself smokes marijuana. The Democrats are now going very hard on abortion, saying, oh, you know, the Republicans want to ban this, when Trump has said very clearly, I am leaving this up to the states. So if any young American woman wants to take that path, the very most she would have to do is cross a state border. All they have is lies, and her going after Donald Trump's character is just laughable, coming from a woman who had an affair with a guy 30 years her senior, who was a married man at the time. So if they want to resurrect Stormy Daniels, whatever they want to bring out on Trump, she's got just as much money.
I hadn't heard about the affairs. I'll read all that salacious gossip in coming days and weeks, I hope.
And Sky News All-Star Chris Kenny made the point that Donald Trump needs to be careful how he handles a female candidate, as his usual aggressive style may not land.
That is a very aggressive attack, Trudy, and we know that normally Donald Trump will respond to aggression with even more aggression, but he's going to have to be careful how he handles a female candidate who's running high on public sentiment at the moment.
But don't forget, he's had a run before it, a popular-ish Democrat female in Hillary Clinton, and those hardline attacks he took at her worked in the end. So he does have a playbook to run against a Democrat female opponent. I think for Kamala Harris, the interesting thing is she's found her feet when she can talk about herself and her record and her past. It reminds me of the Kamala that you saw in the primary campaign against Joe Biden, when she was on that crowded stage of Democrats taking aim at him personally. And that was an incredibly big moment that blew her up on the national stage. I think she struggled when she was trying to talk about, the vice president's a really difficult job, isn't it? A job basically with nothing to do, and that you expect to go around the country and campaign on behalf of somebody else. So now she's campaigning on behalf of herself and her record. Expect to hear more of that contrast of I'm a prosecutor going up against a convicted felon in Donald Trump.